That's the one we used last year, and I'm using it again. I've just walked down our driveway and got all of this greenery for the wreath. This is where I live. We live in the Cotswolds in the English countryside, and I never ever get sick of this view. Isn't it beautiful? Let's get back and start making the wreath. These are all my wreath making items. So as you can see, I have lots and lots of different textures. These are some ferns that I picked up off the side of the highway when we were camping. And here are some hops. I think those are called hops. And I've just been saving a whole bunch of things all summer. So some hydrangeas. I think I might try and dye these. You just have to remember when you're making these wreaths that the more texture and you have, the better the wreath is going to look. Unless you really like simple, and then just pick only a few simple structures for your wreath. But I like a lot of texture. I like mine a bit wild, so that's what I'm going to use. Pick 3 to 5 different feature materials to add into your wreath. These could be dried grasses or flowers or even faux flowers. Dried citrus add a lovely color to the wreath. I also love using hydrangeas that I can grab from my garden. Berries, rosehip, ivy berries, lavender. Basically, the more items you add, the more luxurious and full your wreath is going to feel. So I think the more the better. Finally, before we start assembling the wreath, make sure that you have some paper covered wire. This is what I use to make the posies. I use this green forestry wire to wrap each of the posies on the wreath. You need some secateurs. I use these wire cutters to cut the paper wire and the wire, and I do like having these mossing pins to attach the very last posies at the end, but you can continue and use wire if you need to. And then something like a ribbon or a bow or something to decorate at the very end. The first thing I always do when I'm making a wreath is I cut 40 of these paper covered. Oh, thank you.
I got a stand for it.
I cut 40 of these paper covered wires. You can find this in hobby stores, craft stores, on Amazon, and it is really great for so many different purposes. So the first thing that I do is cut 40 of these. I have all my materials ready here to go, and before I start my assembly, what I'm going to do is all the prep. So first I'm going to prep all of these greens to be the size I need them to be when I make the posies. So let's get started on that. In my experience over the years making these wreaths, to save time as you go, it's just a lot faster to prep all of the greenery first. So we kind of all want them all around the same size. I am making these, say about 6 inches. Let's measure. I did bring my measuring tape out because I'm so bad at remembering what. Okay, oh wait, about 8 inches. So if you cut everything to about 8 inches, but also you can play a little bit with that size, because if when we're doing the posies, some might need to be a little bit smaller and some a bit bigger. You just gotta kind of get a feel for it. So I'm just gonna cut all these to a size, like, and I can still use that one because that can be my back piece. But go through all your greenery and then cut it into the size that you want for your wreath for these little posies we're going to be making. For something like this, I might just strip back these bottom leaves to then to get it to the size I want, and then strip back the bottom leaves a little bit, because then that's going to be easier to go into my posy. Before I start assembling the wreath, I'm also going to wire my citrus fruit. So I think these are tangerines. So what I do is I kind of put them, I stagger them so that it has like a little bit more depth to it instead of like that, because then you're going to lose that those shapes. So I'll take some of my green wire, and what I do is I poke it through each of the slices to make a really beautiful shape. That one's a bit difficult. Okay, there we go. So you can't really see the green that much. The green wire. And then I stagger them, and then I'm going to twist it at the bottom like this. Okay, and then I'll leave these hanging, and then what I can do is I can wrap it around the posy when I'm done making posies. And then that will be a little feature of some of the posies, so that they are just nestled in between the posies as part of the wreath. So I wouldn't put these on each of the posies, but I would probably put them maybe on half or a third of the posies I'm making. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna start making my posies. So you can choose between I would recommend 3 to 5 greens. You can do more, you can do less, but I think I am gonna be doing 1, 2, 5. So I'll take like the biggest one and put it at the back. So I put that one at the back, and I'll put this one next. That one, put this in here, and then my eucalyptus. Okay, so it becomes this little posy. Now what you're gonna do is add in some kind of feature texture. So I'm going to put in my rose hips. I'm going to put in maybe this old man's beard that I got from the hedgerow. This is all stuff I've collected from the garden, so I haven't spent any money on this. Now I'm going to actually get a couple of these lavenders, which I did buy. Okay. Then let's put in some grass, some dry flowers that I bought. Yeah, put that guy in. And then that looks quite good already. I might change where this is, right there. Right? So then what you'll do is take these pre-cut wires, wrap around quite tightly, and then I twist. And then I always just fold these ends up at the back like that, because then they'll be behind. Then I'll just clip any extras. And then there is my first posy. So I'm going to do that as the back. This guy in. I always think that makes it look very Christmassy with this evergreen. Here's the box. Eucalyptus. I'm so lucky I have a eucalyptus tree in our back garden, so I can just take it from there. Now for this particular one, I'm actually going to fluffy. And some of these, which are from the Japanese anemone, they just give a really nice texture. Okay, now we'll put some color in. I cut these and I think they're gonna look amazing. This is a bit rogue, so I'm gonna cut that off. Okay. And then let's add another of these dried flowers I bought. I got these on Vinted. And I think they're gonna add like a really nice extra bit to just a bit more interest to the wreath, some color. Right? Okay, I'm quite happy with that. So let's wrap it. So twist and then fold back and cut the extra off. All right. So now you need to make, I would recommend making 40 of these for our wreath size, because then if you have a few extras, that's fine. But it's so annoying not to have enough at the end and then have to make more posies. So do about 40. And I'll be back when when all my posies are finished. I'm finished all my posies and they look absolutely stunning. I'm so excited about it. I've made 30 because they're so big, and I actually don't think I'm going to even need this many, but we'll see. I might be still making a few more. Hopefully not. I was also thinking you could assemble little posies like this for your centerpiece of your table too, and put them in little jars or little bud vases. I think that's what I'm going to do for my Christmas table, or maybe any table really. But it's now time for us to assemble. So the next part of this is going to be making a little loop to hang. You could hang it from a ribbon, but I find that this works quite well, and then my ribbon goes to the front. So my strawberry, it's a little sad because, oh, I still have mine from last year. Let's cut it off, because I want to show you how to do it from scratch. What I was going to say is mine looks a bit worse for wear because it has been used last year, but I'm really happy I'm using it again. So I'm going to double up this this paper wire so that it's, so it is doubled just for a bit of strength. All right, so you're going to fold it 4 times. So I've folded in half, sorry, twice. You fold it in, I'm going to fold it in half once and then fold it in half again. Just get a really long piece. Let's see. You know me, I'm not very good at my measurements but I'd say, oh, this is about 35, well, this is 35 centimeters, isn't it? So this will be 35 centimeters. So now this loop bit is going to be the loop we hang it from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the wreath over, and I'm going to put my loop here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist it. I just have a hook on my door that this will hang from. But now do you see there's 2 bits here? So I have my my ends and then this loop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on either side and wrap it around. Okay, so it's wrapped around the front, and then I'll just tie it like that a couple times. And then just fold it in, and as we add our posies and we wire them down, this is going to get wired down too. Right? There might be a simpler way that you could do yours, but that's how I do mine. All right, let's start at the top. So here's the top of the wreath. And now I'm going to get my green wire. Actually, I'm going to turn it to this side because what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a tail here so that when we get to the end, I can tie the ends of the wire together because we're going to do it all in one piece now. Okay, so there's just a little tail here, and I'm going to just wrap it like that a couple times. Be careful, this is really sharp and it really hurts when it goes into your finger. So look, I've already stabbed myself once. So we'll leave that up to tie at the end, but just be careful. I might just tuck it into this just for now so I don't stab myself. Okay, so now this is attached and we'll turn this around. So now we're going to start attaching our posies to the wreath. And just make sure that you really think about which ones you're going to attach and how it's looking. So I'm going to use this one first, and I'm going to wrap it. I'm going to put the end of the posy into the middle of the wreath, but I'm going to be staggering them. So that one would face up, and then the next one will face in, and you stagger that way. Okay, so this one is going to be pointing outwards, and I'll wrap it twice. Okay, so wrap twice. I think that actually might be 3 times. All our prep is worth it now. Actually, I don't like that one there. I want that one to be an end one, so I'm going to use a bit of a smaller one here. Okay, wrap twice. 1, 2. Okay, now I can use this guy next. Just watch how it's looking aesthetically. Make sure it's looking pretty. 1, 2. If I put this one in, it's not going to work. So I'm going to put this one also on the outside. And I'll wrap twice. Oops. Don't let that go because it will become so untangled that it's so annoying to have to wrap it back up. All right, 1, 2. Okay, I'll put this one next. And I'll wrap twice. 1, 2. Put that one on the outside. 1, 2. So you keep doing this all the way around the wreath. Okay. So because the inside is smaller than the outside, sometimes you have to put two bundles on the outside, 2 posies on the outside. So maybe kind of do 2 on the outside, 1, 2, and then 1 on the inside. But you just have to use your discretion. Okay, so I'm going to have to put that one also on the outside. 1, 2. I'm going to find a little smaller one that can go sort of on the inside here. There, that's perfect. 1, 2. Okay. I'm getting extremely excited because this is exactly how I wanted my wreath to look. This wild, colorful, really natural looking wreath. Right, so I'm going to let you go for it, and I'll come back when it's at the very end to do those last couple bundles. All right, you can see here I have just this last little bit here. empty, ready to do this. So I'm going to just place the last couple in here, and this is where it gets a little tricky, so you kind of have to just shove them in. I have some wreath pins that I then poke in my last 2 or 3 bundles. So I'll show you what those look like. Okay, I'm at the end and I just have this last little bit to do, and I've got my mossing pins now because I like to it's really hard to keep wrapping at the end. So just grab, if you have some of those mossing pins, that would be great, but if you don't, you can try just keep wrapping. But I'm gonna just turn this over for a second, just really gently. And do you remember I stuck this in at the end? So that's my wire from the very beginning, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around the end, the end of the wire around the beginning of the wire to tie it off. And I'll cut my green wire here, and I'll stick these in to the straw just so that it doesn't poke me or whoever's, if you're giving it to someone else, just so it doesn't poke them. And then here is our loop to hang on. All right, so let's finish this last bit off. So I'm going to put in my last few by using those mossing pins. Or mossing pins? So I've stuck that in, and I'm going to poke that in. This is also why I know that some people like to use those green wire frames for the wreaths, but I just really like using the straw ones because I think they're a bit more three-dimensional too. Okay, so poke that last one in. Oh wow, I have exactly the right amount. I'll get this very last guy in. I think I've ended up with one extra, which I probably will use. Okay, I'm gonna go and hang this up on the door so you can see it all finished. I forgot to put these on. Oh no. Here she is, all finished up on my door. I crocheted this beautiful bow, and there is a link to that pattern at the bottom if you are a crocheter. I ended up putting the oranges on, and all I did was I just wrapped them around the stems that were already there and then tucked the wire in. You can see those just wrapped around one of the stems. So if you do want to add your oranges, that's how you do that.